Hello and welcome to another episode of Premier League Central. We're sat here on a Monday evening in dark, grey Hounslow, so far away from Spain, Germany, France, Portugal, all the lovely countries we've got in Europe. Why do I mention these countries? Because it's been international weekend. No Premier League football. A little bit bored? Maybe. We watched the Masters. We love the Masters. But we also watched the Nations League and we also watched Scotland qualify for a major tournament for the first time since 1998. So let's start with Scotland. Charlie,
hello.
Were you impressed with their victory and did you expect them to get through with that squad?
I was very impressed with their victory because I didn't expect them to get through that squad. I think going away to Serbia, I don't think many people expected them to get through that. That's a big test. Serbia's front three is Dusan Tadic, Mitrovic and Milinkovic-Savic. So I think if they actually got through to the Euros, Serbia, they would have been like a dark horse for a lot of people. You know, they probably wouldn't have won the tournament, but they're more than capable of having a deep run into the tournament. So I think when you think about the quality of their opponents, I think it's an unbelievable win for Scotland.
Yeah, you mentioned that front three over there, and then you add Luka Jovic to the mix as well, the guy who scored the goal. I mean, that's so much talent up there in that team. So it was like you said, nobody expected Scotland to go through. So it was just so much fun watching them actually win. It's just a shame there were no fans there to actually celebrate. Because the players looked very, very happy.
Thought the other thing to mention as well is I didn't know much about their manager, but looked up a good bit about him. He's done an exceptional job, Steve Clarke.
Yep.
I saw he was named Manager of the Year in Scotland in both 2019 and 2018 as manager of Kilmarnock, and he's just done a fabulous job. Like, to think that 22 years without them ever making a major tournament, and like, it's not like they've many even Premier League players when you're going through their team. Like, the two notable players to me obviously would be Robertson and the lad with Villa as well. McGinn, I think, is a superb player. He didn't even start McTominay against.
He did. He played centre back.
Yeah. But I think. But I would say they're going to have a lot of work to do trying to get out of their group at the Euros. I think they're England, Czech Republic and Croatia.
A tough group, but I think definitely doable.
England's a winnable game.
If they play to the capabilities which they did in Serbia, they played with so much resilience. Scotland have been really poor for a long time now, and they were shocking just 18 months ago, but they went on a really good run. I think they won their last 4 group games to get into a position where they did. They didn't actually get through the group that way. They got through via sort of a backdoor route through their performances in the Nation League, and then 2 penalty shootout wins. They beat Israel last month to get to this playoff stage, and then they came through against Serbia. And to hold your nerve, people, okay, in a penalty shootout is pretty impressive. And all Scottish players, they all scored their pens, and then Marshall pulled off a great save. So I don't think you can fault them.
Yeah, they scrapped it out, Scotland. They really scrapped it out against a much better side than them. They really just played to their strengths. Saw them pumping long balls up the pitch, playing balls into the channels just for strikers to chase on the off chance that they'll make it, because they know that they can't play through Serbia, and they just scrapped. It was all about their tenacity, and they showed tenacity right up until the 90th minute, and then Luka Jovic was completely unmarked to head in and make it 1-1. And that's the kind of thing. If Scotland didn't make it through, they would have looked back on that moment and thought, what on earth was happening? Do you know who it was? It was Scotty McTominay who let him go totally unmarked, and he headed in for 1-1.
And like the other inspiration that Scotland need to take as well going into next year's Euros is just look back at what Wales and Northern Ireland did at the last Euros in 2016. Like, Wales got all the way to a semi-final with a decent team, but they were so organised. That was the main thing about them. They were so organised, and they just had something in here, and that's key. I don't care what anyone says in international football. It's what's in here that matters most, like, in your team ethic all the time. Like,
do you think it will help Scotland that two of their group games are at Hampden Park at home because of how the Euros is being based this year? They're at home to Croatia and Czech Republic. They go to Wembley.
Depends on if fans are allowed in or not.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. A major issue, but surely it's going to benefit them, even if the fans aren't in, because
has to benefit, yeah. Especially when you're a small country.
I'd love to see the fans in there for that.
Imagine England, Scotland with the fans in.
Oh, good.
We would be. I would be on the beers, unless somebody watching decides to snap me up for some sort of journalism work on the day, or any of us here. We will be on the beers from a silly hour on that England Scotland game. Apart from Tig, who'll probably be watching hurling because Ireland are nowhere to be seen, and neither Republic nor Northern Ireland are there because Northern Ireland. They got so close, didn't they? They got back to 1-1 in their game against Slovakia with a late equaliser, but then they just fell short in extra time, which is painful. Do you think Michael O'Neill, Tig, not being there because he steered them through qualifying and then left for Stoke, and then new manager came in for these playoff games? Do you think that made a difference without Michael O'Neill?
Possibly did. I was a bit disappointed. I actually thought that they would go through. I thought that they'd have enough grit to get through, but just didn't seem to happen. They're obviously a lot better than my own country or whatever, but I don't know, there's a kind of a thing in Ireland that I don't know, from an outside point of view, that we wouldn't support Northern Ireland. We actually wouldn't. I think a lot of us did support Northern Ireland when they were going further than us at the last Euros as well. We were all delighted to see them go so well, and I was disappointed to see them not go through. But I think they've a lot. There's a lot more hope and promise for them than what there is with my own nation, because God, we're shocked. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult
concern, isn't it? Because you were poor against Wales and England, and Wales.
Well, we were always going to get walloped by England. Like, in terms of ability, we were absolutely nowhere near them. I didn't expect anything whatsoever, but then to get beaten then by Wales again, like not scoring, and it's tough. Yeah, it's very tough. Like.
But Wales are in. They are in the Euros. They have made it to the Euros. They're in a group with Italy, Switzerland, and Turkey.
Tough.
Ryan Giggs is in all sorts of bother at the moment because he is a
piece of work.
Yeah,
a piece of work.
I'm not a great fan of Ryan Giggs, despite what he did on the pitch for Manchester United. So Wales are through. They didn't have to bother with the playoff stuff. They're going to be in a group already. That's good. England will be there. Scotland will be joining them, and Ireland will be staying home. Both Northern and Republic to put out the
we're
bins.
used to picking another team to support for the Euros.
The Northern Ireland came so close though, right? Like I was watching the last bit of the game, and then after they scored the own goal anyway, they had a bit of momentum in the last 5 minutes, and there are 1,000 fans in there.
Yeah, it was good to have fans in that.
It felt so different actually having real fans and real sound in there. It was so good to watch, even if it was just 1,000 people.
Yeah, Connor Washington smashed the outside of the post from about 25 yards for about a minute to go to win the game. And when your luck's out, and the ball comes in, hit Johnny Evans off the back of his leg. He was tiring. He wasn't wasn't fully fit before the game.
Yeah, both the Slovakia goals came from mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's the difference between making it to the Euros and not. They took their chances, whereas probably Northern Ireland didn't.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because you wanna see all the home nations make it to the Euros, because like Sam said, Scotland game, everyone's going to be on the beers. I want lots of occasions where we can be on the beers. I'd love to see England versus Ireland at the Euros. You want to see England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland all there. And to be fair, now that they've opened the tournament up, you've seen a lot worse quality sides qualifying for it this year. I think even North Macedonia have made it in for the first time in their history. So, come Euros in the future, I think that is a real possibility.
Yeah, I hope so. We love these big clashes between home nations, so hopefully we'll have more going forward. But we definitely have England v Scotland, June the 18th at Wembley, 8 p.m. Oh, boy, that would be great. 8 p.m. God, I can start early. Right, moving away from Scotland and Wales, etc., to our nation. Well, mine, Charlie's nation. Biraj's adopted nation since 2014. He's very much part of the family here now. England. Oh boy, let's go through both performances, but more on the Belgium game. 2-0 defeat to Belgium on Sunday evening. Biraj, what did you make of the performance from England?
I thought England was just sloppy. They were uninspiring, and it didn't get me excited for Euros at all. Like, 3 at the back works, and that's probably the best formation they could have gone with. But there's just absolutely no creativity. It's just always been the case with England. Grealish definitely looked like the best player on the pitch by far. But apart from that, I don't know. The defending was horrible. I still don't think Pickford's the right man to play goalkeeper for England, but he keeps getting those opportunities, and then when the manager comes out and says that there's no other player competing against him for the number 1 spot at the minute, it just kind of makes you think like, well,
I think that's an unfair analysis from our friend Biraj.
What, on Pickford?
No, on England as a whole, really.
Were you inspired?
I agree with him on Pickford. Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah, that's a different story. But I think to say we were shocking defensively and stuff like that, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think you've got to remember Belgium were the number 1 ranked team in the world. They went 2-0 up against us through a really good Tielemans goal and a free kick.
Which should have been taken by De Bruyne. Wink, wink, Sam.
Yeah, that's another different story. And so there are 2 goals that defensively you can't do a whole lot about. And then Belgium did a really good job of just shutting us out for the rest of the game. So if you got bones to pick about the England performance, I'd say it's in attack, because we kind of were on the front foot for about 70, 80 minutes of the game, and despite that we couldn't unlock the door, despite Jack Grealish's best efforts, which were really good.
Yeah, they were saying on commentary a lot, and what we were saying while watching as well, lacked a little bit of pace in behind. So for Southgate, can he not start Mount and Grealish? Do you have to try and get a Rashford or a Sterling in there? I think Grealish has to play, personally. Would you go with... Who would you go with? Would you go Sterling, Rashford, alongside Kane in the middle, or how do you get it all in?
At the minute, if the Euros was tomorrow, you've got to get Grealish in, because I don't care how fashionable Sancho is, Grealish has had a better start to the season than Sancho has. And he's playing unbelievably well, including for England. But like you say, you've got to get some pace in there, because Harry Kane does not provide pace in behind, and against Belgium we needed a bit of that sometimes.
Even Kyle Walker was bursting forward to provide something from centre back.
Yeah, so you need a Rashford or a Sterling. I think Rashford's probably the quickest player we've got. So
outside of Sterling,
yeah, if we're looking for someone who can run in behind and score a goal, then probably Rashford. But I'm not saying he's the one that should start.
What more does Dominic Calvert-Lewin have to do to be in that conversation?
Ty, would you play Calvert-Lewin with Kane up there, or would you just go Kane and fill it around?
From a neutral point of view, I think the main problem, just looking from the outside, the main issue that I've seen with England, especially over the last year or so, is I genuinely don't believe that Gareth Southgate knows what his best team is going to the Euros. I think that is very, very worrying. Any team that will ever win a major tournament, throughout history you can go back, they will always know what their team is before the tournament. They don't make many changes. They know what their team is. He has no clue. He's switching and changing and chopping and everything. I don't agree that 3 at the back is a great system. I would pick someone to go alongside Maguire. That's it. Have your 2 full.
And then God help us, Maguire.
I'd have Kyle Walker at right back. What's your man? Chilwell at left back. Pick someone alongside Henderson properly, and I'd play with 4 up front. Yeah, that's what I do, because I think there's enough fucking talent there to be playing it. Simple.
there is. I play
Danny Ings.
No, I play 4. I definitely play Grealish with the form he's in, and I play Rashford and Sterling out wide, and I play Kane up front. But I would have Calvert-Lewin. I would have
Calvert-Lewin.
No, I'd have Calvert-Lewin very close to that team, very close. If Kane isn't doing it, I'd have Calvert-Lewin in there.
But England at the World Cup in 2018, they played 3 centre backs, didn't they?
Yeah.
Then they played a 5, and they sort of played a
3-5.
but they played. In that midfield, England are going with Henderson and Rice, or whoever, a combination of 2 quite defensive midfielders. Is there not a way to go with Henderson and then Grealish, Sterling, Kane?
No.
I played them
Could you
because
not
they get overrun in midfield.
Grealish shouldn't be playing in a midfield too. No way. Because
I never said that.
I'm responding to what Sam's saying. So Grealish can't play in a midfield too, because he would have to track back, and a man of Grealish's ability and his skill set, I don't want him to be tracking back.
Yeah.
I don't want him to waste his energy tracking back. So if he's going to play him on the wing, but obviously that's a very difficult spot to get into.
I'd play him in that free role. Put him in that kind of an attacking midfield role. Let him do what he wants.
But my point being, England played with Jesse Lingard, Dele Alli, Raheem
Who's
Sterling
definitely
and
not-
Harry Kane, all four of them played in pretty much.
Yeah, he
starting-
played an attacking guy in that midfield too.
Yeah, can you not play that attacking?
Yeah, you
guy?
can, but I don't think it's Grealish.
Yeah, I'm not
because
saying
I
it has
don't,
to
I
be
don't
Grealish.
want.
Kraus maybe.
He's not attacking enough. Do you know what? The guy I would put
Mason
alongside Henderson against a team that I feel like we can attack is Ross Barkley.
That's actually great because he drives well, doesn't
Or
he?
Foden, to be fair. You
I
could put
wouldn't put
Foden in
him.
there as well, but Ross
But then-
Barkley has got enough physicality about him, and he's a fit guy. He gets himself about the pitch. He can go backwards and forwards, and we wouldn't be kind of relying on him to go forwards. It's like you see it at Villa. Barkley plays deeper than Grealish. They're both really creative going forwards, but Grealish has got more of the free license to.
Does Mason Mount make your starting 11,
Nah.
lads?
Not for me. No, I don't know why he's ever in it, but
He's close. He's close.
He's a
but-
good player.
He's
He rem-
played very well for Chelsea this season since they made him into
If-
more of a centre midfielder than an actual attacking midfielder. Like he plays in kind of a trio now with Chelsea, like in midfield.
but with all the options, surely you've got to try and get Raheem Sterling and maybe
They have to.
Rashford
You
in
know-
the team.
you know the problem I-
most of them. They just have
You know
to
the
be
problem
in
I
that
feel
team.
with England that happens is that the roles aren't well defined. With okay, fine, the defense is defined where the back five, 3 centre backs and you play a left wing back and a right wing back. But then when you come to midfield, you never know if he's going to play 2 defensive midfielders, 1 defensive midfielder, like a creative midfielder, and then a further midfielder, or he's going to play 2 in the middle. You just never know.
He's
Well,
been
if you're playing 3 at the back, what you're saying, if that is their formation, you're right in what you say, that there is no need to have fucking 5 defensively minded players, like
That's
having
my
2
point.
holding midfielders. Like you need to find someone that obviously Henderson just walks into any team. Like,
Especially if you zoom it forward to June and we've got Croatia, Czech Republic and Scotland in front of us, we probably are a better side than all. I know we lost to Croatia
Yeah.
horribly a couple of years ago, but we probably are a better side than all 3 of them. So would you not look to now experiment to get a little bit more attacking? Harry Winks playing there? Is he a little bit?
Yeah, he could. But I think against the lesser sides, we've got to go Henderson and someone who can attack.
Okay.
And then against the more dangerous sides, Henderson and someone who can sit back.
So right now you've got no warning, but you've got to pick your England starting 11 right now. I want to hear all of your teams. Okay. Bam, bam, bam. Charlie, who would you go with? Straight now. Go on.
Okay, straight now, I'm going to have to go with, in goal, Jordan Pickford, because of lack of other options. I'd love to pick Dean Henderson, but he's not getting a game for United. 3 at the back, I'll go with Maguire, Mings, and then Kyle Walker, centre-backs.
Yeah.
Right wing back, I would go with, at this moment in time, Reece James. He's playing really, really
Okay.
well, better than Trent.
Ahead of Trippier and Trent.
Yep. Left wing back, I would go with Ben Chilwell, and then centre mids, Henderson and Barkley, and then up top, Sterling, Grealish, Harry Kane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Viraj?
I'd go with a similar formation, but not Pickford in goal. I'd go with Nick Pope in goal.
Yeah.
If Henderson
God, they're getting
gets
slaughtered
hold
this
on.
season, Burnley. Yeah,
if,
carry on.
if Dean Henderson gets a move away in January just for loan and he does well in those 4-5 months, I'd definitely go with Dean Henderson. And then with left back Chilwell, right
Yeah.
back I'd go either Trippier or
No, you
Trent.
got to make the
You've
decision.
got to make a call.
Okay, fine, Trippier.
Okay.
As much as my heart hurts.
Yeah.
In the defense, I'd go Eric Dyer. I'd go with Tyrone Mings and Harry Maguire. Sadly.
So no Kyle Walker in your
Kyle.
side.
Oh shit! Sorry. Okay, I'll take Kyle Walker instead of Harry Maguire.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
And then in the midfield, I'd definitely have Henderson, and the second midfielder would be Mount, and then the third midfielder would be Grealish. That's 5-3, and then I'd play 2 up front, and that would be Sterling and Harry Kane.
Okay, she would go for that Grealish or Mount in that midfield too, sort of.
Yeah. Well, Grealish has
you
got
go
that
like a
free line
Henderson
goal.
and then you have like a Grealish Mount
Yeah,
in front and
yeah.
a little two. Tig, go on, fire at me.
I got Dean Henderson in goal, Kyle Walker right back, Chilwell left back, 2 centre halves, Maguire and Eric Dyer. Midfield, I'd go Jordan Henderson, and I'd probably go with Mason Mount, and I go front 4. I don't know. Someone did not mention Rashford. He walks into that team, absolutely. On the right, I put either Rashford, Sterling on the wings, Grealish. Then give him just give him freedom, give him an attacking midfield role, and put Harry put Harry Kane up
So
front.
do you play a similar thing in terms of Henderson? Mount?
4-2-4. Simple as that.
Okay.
4-2-4, and one of the two is
I've
Mason
never
Mount.
heard 4-2-4 and simple
Okay.
as that in the same sentence.
So
ever
we've
before.
got different
It is
teams.
simple.
Very very different teams.
It's the way most international teams play their formations, if you look at them.
I think, yeah, it's quite expansive. I'd probably lean...
What chief to lose? He haven't won in major
all the games.
tournaments.
We've got all the games to lose.
He hasn't won a major tournament since 1966.
We've got all our group games to lose, and then the knockout
Who would you
games
go with,
too.
Sam?
I lean towards Charlie's idea, but probably replace Barkley with...
Phil Foden.
Yeah, probably.
Come on, big Phil.
Or James Ward-Prowse, but he's not good. I don't know. Or Harry Winks, but I'm not quite sure. I'm being a little bit cautious. Rashford, though, for me, would normally be in, but Grealish has been so good, I'd probably pip Grealish over Rashford as well at the moment.
It's so weird. Okay.
Ty looks fuming over there, but
A question.
you can't leave Jack Grealish out.
Question, lads.
Absolute
But
joke.
is it the
How
argument?
could you leave a player of his ability out?
Rashford.
Uh,
We've got so many good players.
Argument for you, lads.
What?
Argument for lads. For you guys. Would you have a starting 11 going in your mind right now, or would you wait till June and pick informed players in your starting?
Yeah,
11?
wait till June.
You gotta wait.
Honestly. You
you
can't
gotta-
wait until the
you've
time.
gotta wait.
What if Danny Ings has another 20+ goal season?
He
Why shouldn't he
should-
be in the 11?
Yeah, he
If
could
he's
be.
any good a manager, he should know 9 or 10 of those players of that starting 11 by now, and he doesn't have a clue. I don't think he does anyway. But
Do you think that COVID can be sort of blamed for that a little bit? Take
No.
responsibility because
it's not good
But no,
enough.
because the tournament was meant. He probably planned for this summer,
Yeah.
for last summer, sorry, and then that's sort of thrown it a little bit. I don't know. Up. I think it'll maybe be a
I
little
think
bit harsh.
it's kind of it's a compliment to England's squad at the minute that it's hard to decide because he's struggling to make his mind up because we've got three or four unbelievable right backs to choose from and loads of good wingers to choose from. That's why a guy like Rashford doesn't get in because we've got Sancho, Sterling, Grealish, all world class.
We haven't even talked about people like James Maddison, have we?
Yeah,
Not even-
interestingly, none of us even had Declan Rice in our starting 11s, which was quite
I
interesting.
think he's overrated. I don't know.
Declan Rice is a good player, but I don't. Personally, I wouldn't pick him over some of the other options we've got. We're a little bit weak centre back, aren't we?
Yeah.
And central midfield,
Yeah.
a little bit weak in those areas, but we can't be brilliant everywhere. Goalkeeper's a major issue. Before we move on to the rest of the top nations, England predictions. I know it's an early stage, but now the whole tournament's sort of laid out in front of us. Where do you think we'll get
I
to?
think it totally depends on the draw. Anytime we come up against a
Quarter
good side in a major tournament, we're not going to beat them. So,
Yeah, it's
so
true.
it depends when we come up against a good side. Really, I'd hope that we can get through to the quarters. Yeah.
I'm gonna bite a bullet and say finals.
Wow.
Not at all.
Finalists.
If you
Scrape through to the
in
finals.
terms of your coming up against a good side, if England win, this is how it works. If England win their group,
Yeah.
they will face the runner-up of this group: Germany, France, Portugal, or Hungary. So if England win the group, that's who they get.
Yeah.
If England finish runner-up in their group,
Lord
okay,
God.
they will actually play the runner-up because of how the tournament works with 3 teams sometimes going through
Right.
in each group. They actually play the runner-up of the Spain, Poland, Sweden,
So if
North
we
Macedonia group.
right, so if we win the group,
we have a harder game.
right? Okay, that was similar
That's
to
why I
the World
said
Cup in
England to get to
2018.
the final.
So if we throw the game against Scotland, and then you can.
Oh, I hate that. I hate
can
that
do again.
because I remember that Belgium game in the
England
groups
wouldn't want
in the
to
World
play
Cup.
Spain either. I don't think that's.
No, but it wouldn't
Oh,
be.
we beat Spain recently. Yeah, I'm not too scared of Spain. I'm scared of everyone.
Spain
in
are
that
a bit
other
of a
group.
transition, aren't they?
But yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting dilemma. Obviously, England will go out and try and win every game and try and batter these nations
Yeah.
and try and bring football home.
Nah.
I would love it. I think that we'll probably get to. The draw's massively dependent.
It totally depends on that, Jordan.
Yeah, quarters or semis
When-
really.
what
The
does your
draw's
gut say,
made.
though?
Draw's made in December, so make sure you keep an eye.
What does your gut say, though?
I think we're gonna fucking win it. Of course I don't know. I don't know. Semi-finals if we're lucky again. So with the field set, the odds are now in place for the next summer's championships, and for them we have racing expert and football expert in the betting market, Tig Creedon. Tig, can you give us a rundown of the favourites?
Yeah, incredibly, England are joint favourites at 5-1 with Belgium and France. Germany 7s, Spain and the Netherlands 15-2. And much improved Italy 11-1, and Portugal look magnificent value at 14s.
Oh, Portugal at 14s. I might have a little bit on
I know
that.
where I'm putting my money.
A little bit like that. They're in the group of absolute death, though, aren't they?
They are in the group of death.
They're projected to probably not get through that group. France
Although I
and Germany.
do love a team coming out of a group of death because they've had all those tough
Yeah, of
games
course,
already.
yeah. Of course.
Viraj, you did a little bit of research on the Portuguese. Can you? How do you think they're going to go? What do you
Firstly,
think
the
is good?
defending champions of the Euros,
Yeah.
Portugal. I think they have a strong chance of winning it, but it's obviously a tricky group. But I always think that you can never count a team with Cristiano Ronaldo out.
Yeah,
He's a
agreed.
leader. He's a champion. He does it time and time again, and I have no qualms in saying that he will do it again at next year's Euros.
The good thing about this,
One last hurrah, I suppose.
the good thing about this tournament as well, we must remember, is that there's 6 groups and the 4 best third place teams do get to go through as well.
Oh,
So
do
there is
they?
actually a possibility that all
right.
3 can progress.
But how do you define best?
Best points total.
Well, still,
okay.
group
I
of
know.
death
4
could get
best
walloped.
third place teams.
Yeah, get
yeah,
through.
they have
Okay.
decent
So
chance.
remember, they have a chance, but then their points.
They've got a talented squad as well. Like I've got some of the players here: Ruben Diaz, João Cancelo, Semedo, Renato Sanchez, who's on a bit of a resurgent career right now.
Mhm.
They've got Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes, who you clearly rave over every week.
Yeah, he'll be starting anyway.
Yeah, Rui Patricio on goal, Daniel Podence, and an informed Diego Jota. If he can carry on
You
that
may-
form to the Euros.
You miss one fella as well, is Joe Felix.
Yeah, I've got Felix.
yeah,
I'm running through them one by one. Give me time. Yeah, I've got and Ruben Diaz, who looks like he's in good form. He's started 8 games in all the playoffs. In all the qualifiers, which is the most of any player in the Portugal 11. So that centre back spot, it's important to have those centre backs lined up and have at least some of your squad ready, like he said, knowing your best 11. And I think Portugal are doing well to get some of that
They've got quite a good spine, haven't they, Portugal? Actually, if you go through Diaz and people like Neves.
João Moutinho's experience in midfield always helps as well. I
And
think
they have
he does
Ronaldo.
He does it time and time again
front.
for them.
There's that other lad, Willie Carvalho, then as well. He's very, very good. I've seen him playing internationally as well. When they won the Nations Cup last year, he was really, really good as well.
So if they're so good, why are they not going to win it? Where are their weaknesses? Have they got weaknesses this side?
Their
Maybe
weakness is being in that group. They won't make it out of that group, I don't think. So I do think they're good value. 14-1 is nice. Defending champions of Europe and probably one of the best teams in Europe.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're in a group with 2 better teams. So
You
it's going to
think
be
Germany-
really.
I wouldn't necessarily
That's just my
agree
opinion.
with
It's
that,
my
no.
opinion.
I don't think they're just on Saturday there as well. They had a right good test against France. They're in France's Nations League group, and they were only beaten 1-0. They're like, you need to remember as well. They won, as Vera said, they won the last Euros. I was shocked that they were knocked out, to be fair, in the last 16 of the World Cup. They were beaten by
Uruguay.
a fairly average Uruguay team at the
2-1 though.
time.
It wasn't like it was a walloping or anything.
But then they won that new kind of tournament, that Nations Cup
Nations
last
League.
year
Nations
against
League,
Nations League or whatever.
Against
it
the
is.
Netherlands, I believe. I
Yeah,
think.
and the Netherlands are a good young progressive side as well. So they're definitely on the up, and going through that squad, that's a proper good squad. There's a lot of talent in that team if they get, and they see
A lot of creativity.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it. There's João Felix, Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Neves, all creative. So creative.
Yeah.
I think so.
And Ronaldo's going to get you goal. If you give him the chances, he'll get you the goals.
I think most people agree that France are a better side than Portugal. So it all hinges on how they do against Germany.
Yeah.
And I think one of us is going to make a case for Germany, aren't they?
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna make a case for the Germans.
Go on then, let's hear you.
They've got great depth in midfield, haven't they? With Kimmich and Toni Kroos, Goretzka, even people like Emre Can now are getting sniffs again, and they've been
Havertz.
left out the cold. Havertz, and then going forward, Timo Werner. He scored 2 against Ukraine the other night. He loves international football. He's so good. Leroy Sané, Gnabry. It's good. Serge Gnabry. So they've got a lot going forward. They're not the same side they were when they won the World Cup in 2014, but that was a really good side. But they've got enough, I think, in midfield, enough depth in midfield, and enough loads of options up front. Like Leroy Sané, like the pace and power of him up front is frightening for any defence. Serge Gnabry. So no, I like Germany. I don't know where you guys rank them compared to the Portuguese. I'd say slightly better than Portugal.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you can never count Germany out, really.
No.
We haven't even mentioned the likes of Thomas Müller, who's won the World Cup.
Yeah, the only thing about Müller is he might not
He's gone out of favour.
He might not be
from
going.
a German colleague, our German friend, he said that Müller and Hummels are quite out of favour.
Yeah,
with
If
the
that's
national team.
the case, he's fallen out with the manager. I don't know, but he's started the season unbelievably well for Bayern.
He wasn't selected for the recent games by Joachim
I
Löw
think there's some kind of thing going on
because he's just
there.
trying to go in a new direction. That's what
Well,
our
that's
German.
the luxury Germany have then if
Yeah.
they can't select a guy like Thomas Müller, who who is especially on the not especially, he's great for Bayern too, but on the international stage he's been absolutely fantastic.
My question to you though is, who do they have defensively that's a standout player
that's a good
that
question.
you think that they can handle Ronaldo when they come up against
He's right.
Portugal? Because attackingly, Portugal are so good.
They've been conceding quite a few. I looked through their national results and they've been conceding quite a few goals. And like the only fella that I could see standing out maybe was the lad with Bayern Munich, that big lad Sula.
They got him alongside Ginter. They've got
Ginter is good as
they've
well.
got 55 caps between them, so they're emerging into quite an experienced.
Who's the left back and right back?
They played Klosterman was playing right back, and they were playing Philip Max at left back, I think he's at Augsburg, so he's not exactly.
Fullbacks aren't really their strong point, are they?
No.
Does Kimmich play centre mid then?
Kimmich plays centre mid alongside.
I do remember when they won the World Cup, they played without even any fullbacks. I remember they played 2 centre backs as almost fullbacks back then, so they're well capable of doing it. But usually when a German side wins, they're usually quite good defensively as well. That's my worry.
They've got a few issues because obviously Jerome Boateng is over the hill a little bit, and Mats Hummels is not being selected. So they've got areas of weakness.
Ter
Stegen,
one of the best keepers in the world. At least they got that in nets.
Yeah, if he
it's
gets,
not all bad at the back.
If he gets the nod over Neuer.
Yeah, Neuer will probably start.
Right? Neuer. I mean, again, another choice that the Germans have got to make. It's the kind of
we're discussing
Pickford or Pope. Exactly. Come on.
Yeah, it's very much do or die for Jogi Löw as a manager. Like they didn't even get out of their group at the World Cup. It was a complete and utter embarrassment. Like, and I'd say from speaking to my German friend as well, he said that a lot of people were unhappy that he kept hold to that job after that a lot of people wanted him out, so he obviously has a point to prove going into this Euros. Like,
I think so too. So Germany, I would say, are probably, well, we all disagree.
How did they do the 2016 Euros, just out of curiosity?
Got to the semi-final and lost to France.
They normally make semis, don't they, Germany? A team that won the World Cup in 2018, France, they're also in the group. Tig, you did a little bit of research on them.
Yeah, look, it's simple. Like, I looked at the odds there, they're 5-1. I think they're way overpriced at 5-1. I think they should be about 3-1 favourites, simple as that.
What's so good about their team?
Because they haven't changed much since the World Cup. They've only lost 3 games since the World Cup final. Back in Euro 2016, they obviously lost a shocker to Portugal. I couldn't believe they lost that. But look, they learned from their mistakes, went on, won a World Cup very solidly. And the biggest thing about them over every other nation, the only other nation I would say that probably is a right good idea of what their team is, and I think Charlie will mention them, are Belgium. But with France, they've been there, they've done that. But they've added in new players now as well. Kingsley Coman is a massive addition from Bayern. He's making that team quite a bit. He's actually been throwing in Martial as well, even though Martial's form has been quite poor. But defensively, they are so good defensively.
The depth as well.
Oh my God, they're outstanding. You've Pavard, Hernandez, both Bayern, outstanding fullbacks. Yeah. Then you have Varane. And he can choose any centre half he wants. He could have Upamecano from Leipzig, or he could have Longley from Barcelona.
Meanwhile,
there's Kimpembe. More than likely, it'll probably be Kimpembe.
There's Laporte from City as well.
Laporte from bloody City too. The options are beyond belief.
Umtiti from Barcelona.
It's
like the options go on and on and on.
And look, you go back in history, look at all the major tournaments. No team will ever win without a really good defence. They barely conceded much in that World Cup. I know they conceded 2 in the final, but even back in the last Euros as well, when they hosted it, they didn't concede a whole lot either. And midfield as well, can't say.
But I was going to say, when you have Kylian Mbappe up front, you can always get away.
He hasn't been playing lately.
You can get away with conceding one, even if they have a bad day.
And like Griezmann, the other thing as well is Griezmann hasn't been playing as well for Barcelona, but he still ups it for his country.
He plays really well.
Right? Yeah.
Same
and
with
Pogba does the
really
same.
well when he plays.
Even I would admit that Pogba playing for his nation is a far better player than the one that you see with United. Like, Deschamps somehow gets the best out of him, but I feel it's because he has probably just a sensational player in Kante alongside him.
Yeah.
And then you've Rabiot at Juve, who plays a lot for them now as well.
Squad of France, our favourites.
I mean,
have to.
let's be realistic, right? Obviously, we've all picked different teams to talk about, make a case for, because it makes interesting viewing.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, I'm just going on who I think wins.
But yeah,
simple
I
as
also,
that.
I mean, realistically, France should win with the squad that they've got.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there.
You're
yeah.
telling me Eric Dyer's not a better centre half than
I can't believe we're joint favourites. We're joint favourites with Eric Dyer at the back.
That is an English mark.
It is remarkable, like looking at those.
It's 'cause it's our home tournament,
I
yeah.
know, yeah.
Jordan Pickford, Neuer.
Yes, France.
Look at England's depth.
France are
Beautiful.
they are the favourites, clearly. I think we all agree. If you don't agree when you're watching, then I'll be surprised. But please let me know in the comments or hit me up on message. So France for me, like we love them. We love the French.
But you
on
can
the
make
pitch.
a case for others, though.
Yeah. So who else? Because it's not going to be easy, is it?
Belgium, Sam.
Belgium. Oh,
It's
The
Belgium,
waffles.
Sam. It's Belgium, Sam. Let me just tell you that between November 2018 and October 2020, they won 12 out of 12 in international games. And that run was put to a halt by the mighty Three Lions, obviously, when we beat them 2-1 at Wembley in quite an underwhelming victory.
yeah.
But yeah, I think you can definitely make a case for Belgium, right? Their squad, it's the golden generation, but it really is the twilight of this golden generation. They've got to do it
Now.
at this Euros.
Yeah, he's
it's
right.
now
Yeah.
or never.
Yeah, totally.
But to be fair, at the World Cup in 2018, they were unlucky to not win it. They beat Brazil. They narrowly lost 1-0 to France in the semis, and then they battered England in the third place playoff. So, you know, to narrowly lose 1-0 to the winners, that could easily have been them
Yeah,
that went on to
absolutely.
the final against Croatia and won. And then we're saying, well done, Roberto Martinez, golden generation, they've won it. And they go down as like a legendary team in Belgium and in the world. So they're still there, that golden generation. They're right at the tail end. And the pressure's on to do it now.
Do you have no concerns
What's
about
the weakness?
Yeah, but defensively,
There's weaknesses.
is that defensively more because De Bruyne
Yeah.
has it going forward.
To be honest, this whole time through this generation, the problems have been defensively, really. Before you had Alderweireld, Kompany, Vertonghen,
Yeah.
and they were obviously really good. They're all over the hill now. Kompany doesn't even play for Belgium anymore. Alderweireld is still playing at a good level for Spurs. Vertonghen not.
No.
He's off to Benfica, but he still gets a game in the Belgium squad. And then there's normally some complete unknown that fills in there. And it's the same with the fullback. So, yeah, I think defensively is the main issue for them. But going forward, like you say, you're just relying on the talent going forward to win it for them. Tig said before that you need to be solid at the back to win the Euros, but I remember Portugal winning it 4 years ago. They had Bruno Alves and Pepe at the back, both well over the hill. So miracles can happen. They can happen.
If I was to make a prediction now for next year, and
Sorry.
look, I don't know the full draw of things at all, but if they were on either side of the draw, I could absolutely see Belgium playing France in a Euro final, without a doubt. Like,
But
I
that
think
depends
they
on
are.
the draw,
To
right?
me, they are the two best teams going into that tournament.
I would
next year.
like that final from a neutral point of view.
And they were. Charlie is right. You look back at that World Cup semi-final. What is it? 2.5 years ago now. They were very close. They weren't far away, and they went and won their third place playoff then. But this is it. This is it. They know this is the generation. I don't think second place will be good enough. They want to win this. They want to win this tournament. Like,
And it's just that I think another question about Belgium is this is their golden generation, and somehow it's landed in the hands of Roberto Martinez. Former Swansea, Wigan man, Everton guy. He's a solid enough. He's a decent manager, but he's not the kind of guy that you want to.
The only thing is, like, even I looked through it there, they've only lost 3 international games in 4.5 years. That's remarkable. They went through their qualifying group, they scored 40 goals in 10 games. Like that, I don't care. Like, there was a really, really weak group now, but like, in term, like you said, they're number 1 in the world now, aren't they? Like, if they're number 1 in the world, well, it's time to go out and prove it, really.
And I think, sorry Sam, I think the one thing that that's really going for Belgium now that wasn't in 2018 is Lukaku, who is a completely different animal now that he's gone to Serie A. Absolutely smashing it.
Shows how much confidence matters, right? Because like when he's banging in goals at Inter Milan, feeling like the man, he comes and then translates that onto the international.
And it's not just that, he's an improved player because Conte is an unbelievable manager and he knows how to manage a big man up top. He did it with Diego Costa and he's turned Lukaku into a fantastic target man.
I'd have one worry as well. I haven't seen Real Madrid as much, but I wonder, has Hazard's form dipped a small bit since he left Chelsea?
Oh, it's dipped a small bit. Is the biggest.
I was just putting it out there.
He's also had injury problems.
He really has, right? He really has. But the thing is, for Belgium, they've got against England. They played a front three of De Bruyne, who can play that role. He's better in the middle, but he can play that role. And then Dries Mertens on the other side.
He's a great player. Really
he's
great.
Make no bones
he's
about
underrated,
it.
that fellow.
He's underrated and he's playing better than Hazard at the moment. And he's not the same as Hazard in his prime, but he plays at, a Hazard. He
plays for a solid Napoli team as well.
He's not a million miles away from Hazard.
They've got a lot of options, haven't they? If Hazard can't rediscover some of his form, I'm sure he'll be in the side anyway if he's fitting and firing. Before we leave you though, I want one word. No rambling on. Just one team who you want to get people to watch out for next summer that we haven't mentioned. Starting with you,
I say without a shadow of a doubt, Italy. Look, I do not have a clue of many of their players, but I will say Roberto Mancini took over the national team after the debacle of not making the last World Cup, which was completely embarrassing for a nation of their history. But by God, they've done a hell of a lot since last year they won 10 straight games in a row, which was an international record. He's only lost 2 out of 26 since taking over as manager, Mancini. And look, it's been a bit of a renaissance under him. Look, I don't think and in their Nations League group as well, they're a point ahead of the Netherlands. So look, at about 11-1. Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
For just one word, that was a big answer, wasn't it?
I don't know, I just wanted to get the point across. I did my study on it.
It's a good point.
Alright, I'll go simple. One word, Netherlands.
Netherlands?
Same for me. They're worth watching out for, yeah.
I'm going to go for... I would say...
Actually, really sorry, I'm going to change it. Spain, because of Luis Enrique. That's it. Go, Sam.
Okay, I'm going to go for... Literally picking out one randomly. No, I have to go for Netherlands as well. I like Netherlands a lot.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you for watching. Another great episode. Take it easy. We'll be back next week with the Premier League.